It begins so quietly you barely notice. A childhood that teaches you to hold your breath, not in your lungs, but in your heart. To tuck certain feelings behind your ribs where no one can see them. You learn this because something in the atmosphere around you asks for it. Maybe not with words, more like with the subtle movements of a face, the weight of a sigh, the silence that follows your excitement. You sense that certain emotions take up too much space, that your sadness might be an inconvenience, that your anger might be dangerous, that your joy might be too loud. Without realizing it, you start editing yourself, softening the edges, shrinking the volume, holding the truth inside your body. A child's nervous system bends around the world they are given. It's not a choice, it's instinct. This is how a child disappears, not because they are weak, but because they are human. You grow up learning that the world is safer when you feel less. So you become skilled, almost artistic, at tucking emotions away. They don't vanish, they just go underground, turning into tension in your shoulders, into a stomach that knots for no reason, into nights where your mind won't quiet down. There's a kind of genius in this. It's adaptation, the way trees grow around fences or rivers carve new paths. You become attentive, maybe even hypervigilant without ever naming it. You read people like weather. You know how to brace yourself before a storm. You learn to soothe others before they notice their own ache. In a way, you become a guardian of the emotional space, trying to prevent the world from cracking. Sometimes that means you grow up too early. A child sitting inside the body of an adult, rehearsing peace the way other people rehearse music or math. It can feel like parenthood in reverse, caring for the feelings of those who were supposed to care for you. Not as blame, just as a fact, the kind that shapes a nervous system. And then, without realizing it, this becomes your identity. The quiet one, the strong one, the reliable one, the one who doesn't ask for much, the one who never wants to be a burden. This is how what saved you then now imprisons you. Because somewhere along the way, those unexpressed emotions become a kind of echo. They press against your ribs, asking to be known. Anger that hardens into resentment you don't feel entitled to. Grief that accumulates like sediment at the bottom of a lake. Loneliness that feels undeserved. Joy that feels suspicious in case it's taken away. You might not show it on the outside. On the outside, you function. You get things done. People might even admire you for how composed you are. But inside, there's a quiet ache for something you can't name, a sense that you are living just slightly outside, watching yourself from a distance. Your body remembers what your mind learned to forget, how to freeze instead of feel, how to smile instead of speak, how to stay busy instead of break. Not because you failed, but because you adapted. There are moments, though, small fractures in the routine where something slips through. You catch yourself tearing up during a commercial or feeling an inexplicable emptiness after a conversation. You wonder why certain memories taste like metal. why intimacy feels unfamiliar, why being known feels like a risk. It isn't drama, it's just truth. When unexpressed emotions grow older with you, they don't vanish. They just change shape. They become the heaviness in your chest before you fall asleep, the tightening in your throat when someone asks how you're really doing, the complicated relationship you have with rest, with receiving, with being held. There is a quiet sadness in realizing how much of yourself you traded for safety. But there is also a strange tenderness in seeing it clearly, understanding that every coping mechanism was a form of intelligence, a map drawn by a younger version of you who was trying to survive a world that didn't yet know how to hold you. You don't have to fix anything in this moment. You don't have to pry the doors open or force the feelings out. There is a difference between rushing and remembering, between forcing and noticing. For now, there is just this, the awareness of how it happened. The way you adapted, the way you kept yourself alive, emotionally, even if it meant going quiet. A kind of resilience no one saw because it was interior, invisible, hidden behind your eyes. This is what it means to grow older with unexpressed emotions. They accumulate like unopened letters. They wait, patient, like old friends standing at the edge of the room. And maybe the meaning isn't in conquering them or releasing them on command. Maybe it's simply in recognizing their existence, in realizing that the parts of you that disappeared were never truly gone, just waiting for the moment when the world felt safe enough to be seen again. Not a beginning, not an ending, just the quiet understanding that somewhere deep inside, your feelings have always been trying to find their way home.